Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we all know how trash the Shield special support is, mainly because it's really expensive. It's $14 every 2 weeks, which is almost $30 a month Canadian, which is bananas. And because they decided to try and make it better recently with a new update by putting in Autoplay Plus in Shadowland. But as you can see, I purchased it. Now, I want to give you a bit of the backstory. I stream on Twitch almost every day. You probably know that if you've been watching me for a while. And I have some amazing fans on there, and they watch, and they chat, and they subscribe, and they also donate. And one fan in particular, Filthy McNasty, I want to give a huge shout out to you. That is their name, Filthy McNasty. I'm going to say it one more time. F to the Ilthy, M to the McNasty. Donated $100, which was insane support. And their request was pick up the Shield special support and a couple of other things to test out the Autoplay Plus. So they were really gracious. They were really generous. And so I want to bring you guys that context. I think it's pretty hilarious, but that doesn't mean that I'm endorsing buying this. But it is important for me to show you how bad it can be. Now, the crazy thing about this, when I read this, they did increase the inventory from 300 to 500 slots, which again, they're really trying to get you in on it, right? To get in on it. But the interesting thing is refill entries one time in Timeline Battle. It's unclear if that's one time per day or one time for the whole 2-week period. Imagine how trash that is. You can refill your entries once in 2 weeks for Timeline Battle. Like, how dumb of an idea is that? It's just like they had nothing better to put in there, right? They're like, we got to put something. We want to fill up this whole box, right? We want to put text on this whole box. Just think of something. Think of one thing. So it just blows my mind how greedy that is. So anyways, yeah, I still think it's a bad deal. I've bought bad deals before in the past. I'll probably buy bad deals in the future. I have plenty of bad characters on my roster like Baron Zemo, but it's the life of a YouTuber. It's it's the life of somebody that's trying to bring you the content and trying to parse and really discern the good deals from the okay deals from the bad deals. And I do think that Shadowland Plus is a bad deal. Now, I will say this. I have used it with some success. It's not the actual autoplay isn't as bad as we might think it is for every stage. Some stages are worse than others. Some characters are worse than others. Things like where you can solo a rumble, that's just like never gonna happen with autoplay plus. And things like using a character, Agent 13 or Drax, where you can auto spam. You can not auto spam, but you can like perpetually have their immunity up. That kind of stuff's just not gonna happen. But sometimes the AI is just clumsy enough to just barely make it. Now, that could be because of my cards. That could be because of my builds. I've gambled. I've spent a lot of money in this game. I've gambled a lot of crystals on CTPs and stuff. So I have, for example, a CTP of Authority on Daredevil. Daredevil is the character that I manually play to clear Shadowland every week on floor 1. So I want to take you through a few levels now and see. Let's compare, right? And see how good the autoplay is compared to me. Now, I will say, I did say that I did use the autoplay with some moderate success today. I was busy, and again, this is this is something that not everyone is going to have use for, right? If this is the only game that you play and you enjoy playing it, then you're probably not going to have any interest in this, and you're not going to want to buy it. However, for people who, for whatever reason, they play multiple mobile games, they're addicted to mobile gaming like I am. Or they just like multiple games, but they don't necessarily have time to sit down and play them all manually at the same time. This can be a bit of a time saver. So that is actually what I was doing. Again, I'm not saying that this is a good feature or the feature you should buy, but I have to be honest with you when I say that I did make some use of it. He cleared it pretty well. It's pretty nice. I did make some use of it today. I cleared about 15 stages on autoplay from 30 to 45. So this was above stage 30. So 31 to 45. And I was setting up teams of 3, and then I was letting the autoplay run, and then I was using that time to play with my other game. I was playing with myself. No, I was playing with myself. I was playing 7 Deadly Sins on my computer. So, it's weird to say that the autoplay was good because it let me focus more on another mobile game, right? It doesn't sound very good for Marvel Future Fight, but it is what it is, right? Some people in that situation, instead of having to play another mobile game, maybe they have a job where they're not working intensely 24 hours. They're not working intensely for 8 hours, but maybe they work at home, or maybe they work in a setting where they just need to be available all the time. so sometimes they just get interrupted mid level or whatever. Rather than pausing it, they can just bop on the autoplay, run through a few missions. Maybe they're doing a conference call at work. You know, a lot of people are working telecommuting. They're working from home nowadays. So, you know, there's different reasons why this could be valuable to you. I'm not going to just try and sound like the biggest hater ever and say that this is like, it's obviously not trash, right? The autoplay is getting it done. Now, how difficult Shadowland is for my whale account with, you know, CTPs on most characters and crazy ass cards, that is something for you to decide. If this is not the case for you, if you have a much less built account, it's not going to be the same for you, obviously. But it's not the worst thing in the world. But it's hilarious. Some of the rotations are just so bad, and I want to get up to a higher level to show you that for some characters the AI just has no idea what to do. So yeah, ultimately I feel like this is a failure on the level of just not caring enough about their game. I think that putting autoplay in Shadowland really, to me, indicates that the Netmarble Monster devs are not looking forward to the game's future, and they're not actually actively trying to make the game and sort of like evolve the game. Rather than trying to evolve the game and making it something new, rather than giving us new Shadowland stages and things like that, they are committed to doing the bare minimum and really just, you know, doing like ease of convenience for the player base that we have, rather than some exciting changes and some challenging changes to try and attract new players. Because let's be honest, no one is going to hear about Autoplay Plus in Shadowland and we're gonna want to play this game, right? That's just not a thing that's gonna happen. Okay, I don't want to make a big deal out of nothing. This is not going to kill the game, but at the same time, it is going to turn some people off from the game. On the other hand, I think it's going to give some players more time, which they might appreciate if they were buying the shield support anyways. But I don't think those players really needed more of an incentive to spend money in Marvel Future Fight anyways. So I don't really see it as a net positive in a big way. I just think it's a way for them to try and incentivize more people to buy the shield support. Like, for example, I don't think Yellow Jacket can clear the stage at all. Like, the rotation that the AI uses for this stage is absolutely garbage. So this is probably going to be an easy death. I think he dies in the first wave. He doesn't even make it all the way through. So this will be a good example for you guys to see the difference between playing manually and playing auto. He's actually doing a pretty decent job now. But sometimes what happens is the AI, for one, they don't prioritize iframes. They'll do like non-iframe skills back to back. And then for two, sometimes the AI will like use an invincibility skill. And then right after that, they'll use an iframe skill, which basically just murders your survivability, because you're supposed to use your invincibility skill and then use all of your non-iframe skills and then use your iframe skill at the end. Now, Autoplay Plus, like if it was available for all players, I wouldn't have as much of a gripe with it. I'm still disappointed with Autoplay Plus because I don't think this is the answer to Shadowland. I'm actually surprised he's doing it. I don't think this is the answer to Shadowland. I think this is just a lazy way to get more money. I think, you know, the answer to Shadowland is increasing the number of different stages, right? Introducing lots of new stages with all of the new characters and uniforms. We should have a Fantastic Four stage. We should have a Doctor Doom and Victorious stage. We should have a stage with new mutants in it from all of the mutant updates. We should have a Sentinel stage for mutants where you can't use mutants at all. We should have tons, a Defender stage. We have a Defender stage, but like a better Defender stage. You know, there's tons of an Inhuman stage, right? There's tons of stages that we should have that we don't have. And also the difficulty of Shadowland, because the problem right now is when when you go up in Shadowland, you're just going up in percentages, right? You're just getting higher defense and higher HP and more attack, which is basically what they do for World Boss, which is what they do for a lot of content in Marvel Future Fight. They just push the numbers up higher. You definitely need the numbers to be higher, sure, but you also need there to be a variety of different effects. Like, for example, you know, why don't some of the enemies in the Shadowland stage use some of those effects that we see in Danger Room, like where they activate lasers that will stun you, the laser stun, or maybe they will seal some of your abilities so you can't use some of your skills. Things like this would make Shadowland a lot more entertaining and interesting, and it would make Shadowland a lot less copy and paste and a lot less predictable, and it would make things a lot more interesting because you're like, oh, what's going to happen on this stage, right? And so you can have a randomized list of, let's see what we're going to use here. you can have a randomized list of effects that the characters can use, that the enemies can use, and then you can have, let's see if she can do this stage. And then you can just, you know, roll each one for a different stage. So you don't necessarily always have the same effects on the same stages. So there's lots of things they can do for Shadowland to make it more interesting. I don't think Shadowland is really the thing, but what I was going to say was, even if Autoplay Plus was available for all players, I don't really think that everyone would take advantage of it, because you still want to play and have fun and use your characters, so there's one thing there. For two, some characters are just not going to be able to autoplay, but then you also have another issue that I can't quite remember right now with Autoplay Plus in Shadowland. Yes, Autoplay Plus and Autoplay, where the characters do not finish their... Well, the characters finish their skills. They interrupt their skills too early. And I've gotten tons of tweets about this. I've gotten tons of messages about this. Essentially, if you're using any character that has a beam skill, Cable, Human Torch, Blue Marvel, Anti-Man, Nova, you know, any character that has that continuous beam skill, if you have Autoplay or Autoplay Plus enabled, they will interrupt their own blast skill. It's just the way that it is in Marvel Future Fight. So you just have to turn it off. So in the case of having autoplay, just turn autoplay off and just play it manually. But the other thing I was going to say regarding Autoplay Plus is, on top of certain characters not being able to complete it, and on top of players wanting to play it themselves, you get frustrated sometimes watching the AI just do the wrong abilities to the point where you're just going to interrupt them to play yourself. So one thing that would be really cool if in the future they realize that they're not making any money off of this and they just give Shadowland Autoplay Plus to all players, is allowing us to input a skill rotation. You know, at the very least, if they're not going to give us new stages, and if they're not going to make autoplay content like Conquest and Alliance Tournament, if they're not going to turn that kind of content into playable content, into manually played content, at the very least, they should give us the option. They should give us the interface and the flexibility to set a rotation. That would be interesting, because you could play around with different rotations. You could play around with different builds for characters based on rotations and based on high attack speed and low attack speed, based on, you know, 50% skill cooldown or less than 50% skill cooldown. So there could be some interesting mechanics there. And that would actually, you know, I think that would actually be interesting for a lot of players, rather than just this like set it and forget it type of thing. So it's not bad. You can see, you can kind of do something else while you're playing. Obviously, you can't just set it and forget it. So it's really something that you still have to be semi-active with, right? It's only giving you that in-between phase when you're actually playing the stage, of, you know, not having to focus on it and being able to do something else. But you could walk away and come back and your character dies and you have to run it again, and it's just wasted time. You could walk away and then you forget to come back and then you never press OK and to go to the next stage, right? So you just sit there anyway, so you don't really save much time at all. Or if your characters just aren't built up well enough, which is the case if you're not a long-time veteran or a whale or both, you just can't do it. You can't take advantage of it. So yeah, I'm not really sold on these Autoplay Plus. I have to say that it is a little bit better than I thought as far as actually using the characters. It doesn't do the worst rotations ever. There are some that I noticed that were particularly bad, like Carnage. I noticed that he did Carnage's 5th skill, like the AI would do Carnage's 5th skill and then Carnage's 3rd skill right after, which is super inefficient. And then on higher stages, I did it on the stream, I used tier 3. I used Nick Fury with tier 3 Quicksilver and Cable on a relay stage at like 80, and the AI could not do it at all. Like, I kept running out of time or dying, and then I took over manually by myself, and I smashed it in like 10 seconds. So there is definitely a limit to what the AI can do. There is definitely a certain player type who might be interested in this and might actually get some use out of it, but ultimately I feel like it is just a lazy band-aid fix for a game that needs serious injections of fun, challenge, and you know, milestone related rewards to get players playing and to get players excited about playing day in and day out, not just logging in and logging out to collect their rewards, which is basically what the game has turned into for a lot of players. So let me know what you think of Shadowland Plus, or should I say Autoland Plus. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.